There is one belief shaping your entire life right now. Whether you know it or not, it sits quietly beneath your prayers, your hopes, your fears. You do not speak it aloud, yet everything responds to it with perfect obedience. Most people believe change comes from effort, luck, or timing, but none of those govern outcomes. They only decorate them. What actually determines results is far more subtle and far more exact. You may wonder why two people can desire the same thing, work equally hard, and receive entirely different results. One flows forward with ease, the other strains endlessly. The difference is never circumstance, it is belief, operating as law. This belief is not what you say you believe. It is what you expect when no one is watching, what you assume when things go quiet, what you prepare for inwardly before the world responds. Life does not answer wishes, it answers convictions. And conviction does not require volume, it requires consistency. Most people unknowingly hold two beliefs at once, one hopeful, spoken carefully, one fearful, whispered underneath, and life, always precise, fulfills the stronger signal. This is why effort sometimes fails while ease succeeds, why struggle exhausts while surrender reorganizes. The law responds to alignment, not force. You may have felt moments when everything seemed to click without effort, when help arrived unexpectedly, when solutions appeared just in time. Those were not accidents. They were moments when belief was undivided. But division creeps in quickly. Doubt disguises itself as realism. Fear calls itself wisdom. And the belief that once worked quietly dissolves into contradiction. The belief that changes everything is not dramatic. It does not shout. It does not demand proof. It rests calmly, unchallenged, and therefore becomes absolute. When belief reaches that state, life rearranges without resistance. Delays shorten, obstacles soften. What once felt heavy begins to move. This belief governs health as surely as it governs wealth. It directs relationships as clearly as it directs opportunity. It never fails because it never argues with itself. Failure only appears when belief is mixed, when desire pulls one way and expectation pulls another. The law does not hesitate. It simply follows the dominant direction. You have never been punished by life. You have only been answered. Every repeated outcome has been the echo of a belief once held consistently, even if unconsciously. This is why changing behavior alone rarely works. Behavior is downstream. Belief is the source. Adjust the source, and behavior follows without struggle. The world mirrors belief with remarkable loyalty. It confirms what you quietly assume is true about yourself, about safety, about possibility. Many believe they must deserve good before receiving it. Others believe good must be earned through strain. These beliefs feel noble, but they delay fulfillment. The law is not impressed by effort. It is impressed by certainty. The moment belief settles, effort becomes unnecessary. Action flows naturally, without tension or urgency. This is why faith mixed with fear produces nothing. Faith is power. Fear redirects it. The result is stagnation. Not because the law failed, but because it was divided. You may have been told that belief is blind. It is not. Blind belief collapses quickly. True belief is calm, grounded, and unmoved by appearances. Appearances test belief constantly. Delays provoke it. Contradictions challenge it. And the moment belief wavers, outcomes pause. But when belief remains steady, appearances must reorganize. They have no choice. This is the law that never fails because it never negotiates. It does not consider history. It does not respect past mistakes. It does not argue with reason. It responds only to the present conviction held long enough to become law. You may have felt flashes of this truth before, moments when certainty replaced effort, when peace arrived before proof. Those moments were previews. The belief that changes everything does not beg. It does not hurry. It does not defend itself. It simply is, and life aligns accordingly. Most people abandon belief too soon. They look for signs, they check outcomes, they listen to doubt, and in doing so, they interrupt the process. Belief works when it is left alone. This does not mean ignoring reality. It means assigning reality its proper place after cause, not before. Belief is cause. Circumstance is effect. Once you understand this, patience replaces anxiety, expectation replaces effort, calm replaces strain. You stop asking when, you stop wondering how, you begin living from knowing, and knowing carries weight. This belief does not require perfection. It requires consistency. It does not demand understanding. It demands loyalty. The moment belief is chosen fully, without argument, life receives the instruction clearly. The law responds instantly. Results follow in time. Stay with this message not to memorize a concept, but to notice what shifts inside you as you listen. Because the belief that changes everything is already forming the moment you stop resisting it. And once it settles, you will see why this law has never failed, not once, not ever. I would begin by saying that nothing in your life has happened by accident, though it may have appeared accidental at the time. Chance is but a name men give to law they do not yet understand. Back of every event, every delay, every fulfillment, there has been a belief quietly at work, steady and obedient, shaping the pattern of experience with unfailing accuracy. This belief is rarely the one spoken aloud. It is not the one repeated in moments of hope or prayer. It is the belief held when the mind is quiet and the heart is alone with itself. It is what one expects when no effort is being made to appear faithful or optimistic. That belief governs. I have often observed that people pray beautifully, speak courageously, and yet inwardly prepare for disappointment. They say one thing to life and whisper another beneath it. Life, exact and impartial, fulfills the whisper. This is why effort so often exhausts without reward. Effort cannot override belief. One may work tirelessly, yet if one believes struggle is necessary, struggle will accompany every gain. Another may move with ease because ease is expected. The difference lies not in circumstance, but in assumption. Belief is assumption repeated until it feels natural. What feels natural becomes law in the individual life. Law does not argue. It does not reason. It simply operates. Many believe that belief must be emotional to be powerful. This is an error. True belief is calm. It does not need excitement to sustain it. It does not defend itself. It rests. I have seen men and women change their entire affairs not by dramatic declarations, but by a quiet shift in what they expected. They stopped expecting disappointment. They stopped preparing for loss. They ceased rehearsing failure inwardly. And life, finding no instruction to the contrary, adjusted accordingly. One woman came to me who said, "I pray constantly, yet nothing changes." As we spoke, it became clear that while she prayed for supply, she expected lack. She spoke of money with fear. She planned as though loss were inevitable. Her belief contradicted her prayer. When she began affirming quietly, "I have the magic purse of the Spirit which can never be depleted," and ceased speaking of lack, her affairs changed. Not overnight, but steadily and surely. The belief had shifted. Law followed. Belief works whether one understands it or not. This is why it has been so greatly misunderstood. Men believe they are punished or rewarded, when in truth they are answered. Life does not judge belief. It does not consider whether belief is wise, moral, or justified. It simply mirrors it. This is why fear, when believed, produces results as faithfully as faith. Fear is but belief pointed in the wrong direction. It carries the same creative force. This is why fear must be removed at the level of belief, not merely restrained at the level of behavior. Behavior is downstream. It follows belief as water follows its channel. Change the channel, and the flow alters without effort. I have known people who tried to discipline themselves into better habits, only to fail repeatedly. They blamed weakness or circumstance. Yet when their belief about themselves changed, when they ceased believing they were weak, the habits corrected themselves naturally. Belief precedes identity. Identity governs action. This is why two people may face the same opportunity and experience opposite results. One believes opportunity is rare and easily lost. He approaches with fear and tension. The other believes opportunity belongs to him by right. He approaches calmly. The difference is felt by everyone involved. Calm belief carries authority. Fearful belief repels. Others sense belief before words are spoken. They trust those who trust life. They hesitate with those who expect difficulty. This is not manipulation. It is resonance. Life resonates with belief as sound resonates with tone. It shapes posture, tone, timing, and choice without announcement. Many believe that belief must be defended when appearances contradict it. In truth, belief weakens when defended. Defense implies doubt. True belief remains silent. I have often said that faith is expectation. Without anxiety, anxiety reveals divided belief. Where belief is single, peace remains. Scripture tells us that a double-minded man receives nothing. This does not mean he receives punishment. It means he sends mixed instruction. Life cannot fulfill two opposing commands at once. When belief is divided, outcomes stall. Delay is not denial. It is confusion awaiting clarity. This is why so many experience almost healed, almost successful, almost free. The belief never quite settles. Belief settles when it is no longer argued with. Arguing keeps it fluid. Settlement makes it firm. One may feel uncertain at first when changing belief. This is natural. Old beliefs do not leave quietly. They question. They suggest caution. They call themselves wisdom. Yet wisdom produces peace, not anxiety. I have observed that true belief feels simple. It does not elaborate. It does not plan excessively. It assumes. Assumption is the language of belief. What one assumes is already decided inwardly. If you assume delay, delay follows. If you assume order, order unfolds. If you assume struggle, struggle accompanies success. If you assume ease, ease appears. None of these are rewards. They are reflections. This is why changing belief does not require changing the world. It requires changing expectation. Expectation is belief in motion. One man came to me who said, "I always expect the worst so I won't be disappointed." He believed this protected him. In truth, it instructed life to deliver the worst. When he learned to say, "I expect the unexpected. My good comes to me in surprising ways," his experiences softened. Protection had come from fear before. Now it came from trust. Belief that one must brace for harm creates harm. Belief that one is guided creates guidance. Life never contradicts the belief held most consistently. Belief does not respond to bursts of enthusiasm. It responds to quiet loyalty. One must be loyal to belief even when appearances contradict it. This loyalty does not require struggle. It requires refusal to imagine otherwise. Imagination feeds belief. What one imagines repeatedly becomes expectation. Expectation becomes experience. This is why idle imagination is dangerous. It creates pictures that instruct law. Calm imagination restores order. I often advise imagining not specific outcomes, but states of being: peace, security, freedom. These states attract appropriate forms without strain. Belief is not blind optimism. Blind optimism collapses under pressure. True belief remains calm under testing. Testing does not weaken belief. It reveals whether belief is settled. When belief is unsettled, testing produces anxiety. When belief is settled, testing produces demonstration. This is why some people grow stronger through difficulty, while others collapse. The difficulty was the same. The belief was not. I have often said that man's enemies are those of his own household, his own thoughts. Thought accepted becomes belief. Belief expressed becomes experience. No one has kept you from your good. No circumstance has barred it. Only belief has delayed it, and belief can be changed. Changing belief does not require effort. It requires decision. Decision ends debate. I would suggest beginning with this affirmation, spoken quietly and often. I expect only good, and only good comes to me. Speak it not with force, but with acceptance. Let it feel natural. When it does, belief has begun to shift. As belief shifts, identity shifts. One stands differently, speaks differently, waits differently. Others notice. They say you seem calmer, more certain, less driven by urgency. This is belief becoming visible. Belief shapes not only outcomes, but presence. Presence shapes response. Response shapes life. This is the foundation upon which all else rests. Without belief aligned, no method succeeds. With belief aligned, methods become unnecessary. And so, before speaking of substitution, discipline, or practice, one must first see clearly that the one belief beneath all others is the belief about life itself. Whether it is orderly or hostile, supportive or uncertain, when that belief changes, everything else follows. For belief is law in the individual life, and law, once recognized, never fails. When the hidden belief behind experience has been recognized, the next truth must be faced without evasion. Most lives are governed not by a single belief, but by a divided one. Man often holds faith and fear at the same time, and wonders why nothing moves. He sends out two commands and is surprised when life pauses, uncertain which to obey. This divided state is the great cause of delay. Delay is not refusal. It is confusion awaiting clarity. Life never withholds good. It simply waits for an undivided instruction. I have often said that faith mixed with fear produces nothing. Faith is power. Fear redirects it. The two cannot operate together. One must yield. Many imagine that doubt is harmless if it is quiet. They believe that as long as they speak words of faith, their private fears will not matter. Yet life answers the dominant tone, not the public declaration. What is rehearsed inwardly carries greater authority than what is spoken outwardly. They prepare themselves for disappointment, believing it makes them wise. In truth, they are instructing life to disappoint them. Fear often disguises itself as caution. It says, "Do not expect too much." It calls itself humility. Yet humility does not fear good. It trusts it. Fear of disappointment is fear of fulfillment. I once knew a woman who said, "I hope for the best, but I prepare for the worst. She believed this made her practical. Her life faithfully delivered the worst, again and again. When she learned to prepare for good instead, life followed her new instruction. The law is exact. It does not average belief. It follows the stronger current. Where fear is stronger than faith, fear governs. Where faith is steady and calm, faith governs. This is why shouting affirmations while secretly doubting produces little result. Noise does not impress law. Consistency does. True belief is quiet. It does not announce itself repeatedly. It rests. Fear is restless. It checks, measures, compares, and anticipates harm. This restlessness reveals its weakness. Strength is always calm. I have observed that those who truly believe do not speak constantly of what they desire. They live as though it were already settled. This is not arrogance. It is assumption. Assumption is belief made natural. The divided mind cannot assume. It hopes, then doubts, desires, then fears. This constant oscillation drains power. Scripture tells us plainly that a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Instability does not mean wickedness. It means inconsistency. Inconsistency produces unreliable results. This instability appears in many forms. One may believe in abundance, yet fear lack. One may believe in health, yet expect illness. One may believe in love, yet prepare for betrayal. Each preparation is belief in disguise. I have seen people sabotage their own good at the final moment because fear spoke louder than faith. They withdrew, delayed, or over-explained. Life mirrored the retreat. One man came to me who had been offered a fine opportunity. Instead of receiving it calmly, he questioned it repeatedly, fearing it would not last. His fear communicated distrust. The opportunity passed. He blamed circumstance. In truth, belief had been divided. Belief must be loyal to itself to function. Loyalty does not mean stubbornness. It means refusal to imagine otherwise. Fear imagines loss before gain arrives. Faith imagines fulfillment and rests. The difference is not emotional. It is directional. I have often said that fear is faith inverted. It believes with equal intensity, but in the wrong outcome. This is why fear produces such vivid results. Fear is not weakness. It is misdirected power. Because fear has power, it must be replaced, not fought. Fighting fear acknowledges its authority. Replacement removes it. This is the law of substitution. One belief cannot be removed until another occupies its place. Nature allows no vacancy. When fear is denied, admission and faith is installed quietly, division ends. I once knew a man who feared loss constantly. He affirmed prosperity daily, yet feared collapse nightly. His results were erratic. When he learned to say, "There is no loss in divine mind, therefore I cannot lose," and refused to rehearse loss further, his affairs stabilized. Stability is the sign of undivided belief. Undivided belief does not require constant reassurance. It trusts itself. Many people abandon belief too soon because they expect immediate evidence. This expectation itself is fear. It knows. When belief looks outward for confirmation, it is already weakened. I have observed that belief often works just beyond the point where many give up. The test of belief is patience. Patience is not waiting anxiously. It is resting confidently. Rest is belief in motion. This is why effort delays results. Effort implies doubt. Doubt divides belief. Those who live under grace do not struggle to believe. They assume and proceed. Division also appears in speech. People say, "I trust God," but the word "but" cancels trust. Life hears the cancellation. One must be watchful of such inner contradictions. They are subtle but powerful. I often advise listening carefully to one's casual speech. Casual speech reveals belief more clearly than formal prayer. Statements like, "I hope," "We'll see," "It probably won't work," are confessions of divided belief. Life accepts these confessions as instruction. I have known people whose lives changed simply by removing such phrases from their speech. Their belief strengthened as their words aligned. Speech aligns thought. Thought aligns belief. Belief aligns experience. Division dissolves when speech becomes single. This affirmation is helpful in dissolving division. My belief is single, and my good is sure. Repeated quietly, it trains the mind to rest. Another useful statement is, "I do not entertain contrary thoughts." This is not suppression. It is selection. Selection restores authority. I have observed that when belief becomes single, fear has nowhere to attach. It may attempt to speak, but it finds no listener. The absence of inner argument is the sign that belief has settled. When belief settles, the body relaxes, tension leaves, breath deepens, calm follows naturally. Others sense this calm and respond with trust. They feel safe engaging with one who is not inwardly divided. This safety is not emotional warmth, it is reliability. Reliability attracts opportunity. Life entrusts responsibility to those who are inwardly consistent. This is why some advance while others remain stalled. Advancement follows certainty. Certainty does not rush. It stands. Division creates haste. Haste creates error. Error creates correction. Correction creates delay. Certainty shortens the path. I have often said that the quickest way to receive is to stop wondering if you will. Wondering divides belief. The moment belief becomes single, law acts freely. This does not mean that fear will never attempt to return. Habit does not dissolve instantly. Each return must be met with calm refusal. Refusal weakens fear. Acceptance strengthens belief. Over time, fear grows faint. Belief becomes dominant. Life follows the dominant belief unfailingly. This prepares the way for the next understanding that belief is guarded and maintained by the watchman at the gate of consciousness, and that what is admitted repeatedly becomes law. For belief does not arise suddenly. It is formed through repeated acceptance, and what is accepted without question becomes destiny. When the danger of divided belief has been clearly seen, the mind naturally asks how belief is guarded and sustained. For belief does not remain firm by accident. It is maintained by what I have long called the watchman at the gate of consciousness. This watchman is not harsh, nor is he anxious. He is simply awake. He decides what may enter and what must remain outside. Belief is not formed in a single moment. It is built by repeated acceptance. What the mind accepts again and again without question becomes belief. And belief, once formed, acts as law. Therefore, the watchman's task is of the utmost importance, for he determines what is allowed to take root. Most people imagine that thoughts enter the mind without invitation and must be endured. This is an error. Thoughts knock. They do not command. Only those admitted repeatedly acquire authority. The watchman decides whether a thought shall be entertained or dismissed. Fearful thoughts often arrive disguised as responsibility. They say, "You must think about this," or "You must prepare for what might happen." Yet preparation born of fear prepares only fear's outcome. Wisdom prepares through calm expectation. I have observed that fear is persistent, not powerful. It returns because it has been welcomed before. When it is no longer welcomed, it weakens quickly. The watchman need not struggle with fear. He need only deny it lodging. Many people exhaust themselves by arguing with fear. Argument gives fear attention. Attention gives fear strength. Calm refusal removes its footing. I once knew a woman who was constantly troubled by thoughts of loss. Each time fear appeared, she reasoned with it, explaining why it was unlikely. When she learned to say simply, "This thought does not belong to me," and to turn her attention elsewhere, peace returned swiftly. Belief is shaped not by the presence of a thought, but by the agreement given to it. Agreement may be silent, it may be subtle, yet it is decisive. The watchman must also guard imagination, for imagination feeds belief. What is pictured repeatedly becomes expected. What is expected becomes experienced. Idle imagination is dangerous, not because it is immoral, but because it is creative. The mind cannot distinguish between imagined experience and anticipated experience. Both instruct law. I have seen people imagine disaster so vividly that they lived it before it occurred. Their belief was formed by rehearsal. Life obliged. On the other hand, I have known those who quietly imagined order, protection, and right outcome. They did not strain to picture details. They rested in the feeling of safety. Life answered that feeling faithfully. Feeling is belief in motion. The watchman must therefore guard not only thoughts, but feelings allowed to linger. Fear felt repeatedly becomes belief. Peace felt repeatedly becomes belief. This is why calm is so essential. Calm allows the watchman to perform his task without strain. Panic throws the gate open. Calm closes it gently. I have often said that silence is one of the greatest spiritual disciplines. Silence prevents unnecessary admission. It allows the mind to settle so that choice becomes clear. When the mind is quiet, selection becomes easy. Selection restores authority. I once knew a man who was plagued by self-doubt. Each failure reinforced his belief in inadequacy. When he learned to refuse self-critical thoughts and replace them with, "I have a wonderful work in a wonderful way," his confidence returned. Opportunities appeared. His belief had changed. Belief does not require proof to sustain itself. It requires consistency. Consistency is maintained by the watchman. The watchman does not patrol occasionally. He stands always. This does not mean constant effort. It means habitual awareness. Awareness without anxiety is the mark of mastery. Many people mistake vigilance for tension. True vigilance is relaxed. It notices without reacting. It selects without struggle. I have observed that those who master belief do not become rigid. They become flexible. Fear rigidifies. Faith adapts. When belief is guarded calmly, life remains fluid. One is not shaken by contradiction. Appearances may challenge belief, but they do not alter it. I have known people whose belief remained steady, even when evidence lagged. They did not deny appearances, yet they refused to bow to them. Their belief held firm. In time, appearances adjusted. This is the test of belief. Not whether it can be declared, but whether it can remain unchallenged inwardly. The watchman's greatest test comes during waiting. Waiting invites doubt. The mind asks, "Why has it not happened yet?" This question is fear in disguise. True belief does not ask when. It knows that sequence is law-governed. I often advise meeting waiting with this affirmation: "My good is unfolding in perfect order." This statement restores patience without effort. Another powerful declaration is, "I trust the unseen movement of law." Trust quiets the watchman's post without abandoning it. The watchman must also guard speech. Words spoken repeatedly impress belief deeply. Casual speech often reveals belief more clearly than deliberate prayer. I have known people who prayed for prosperity while speaking constantly of expense. Their belief followed their speech, not their prayer. When speech changed, belief followed. Speech is the outward sign of belief. Belief is the inward cause of speech. The watchman listens to speech as carefully as to thought. He corrects gently. Correction is substitution, not suppression. Suppression forces belief underground, where it operates unseen. Substitution brings it into light and replaces it. I once knew a woman who feared illness. Each sensation alarmed her. She learned to say, "I am whole and complete now," whenever fear arose. At first, fear returned often. Over time, it weakened. Her belief changed. Health followed. Belief is obedient to repetition. What is repeated calmly becomes natural. This is why repetition of affirmations is essential. Not frantic repetition, but quiet persistence. The watchman must not grow weary. He must not argue. He must simply choose again. Choosing again is not failure. It is training. Training produces mastery. As belief becomes guarded effectively, the mind grows quieter. Fewer thoughts demand attention. Peace becomes familiar. Others sense this peace and respond accordingly. They trust your judgment. They feel your steadiness. Steadiness is belief made visible. I have observed that those who master belief often appear fortunate. Things seem to work out for them. In truth, belief has cleared the way. Belief does not force results. It removes obstruction. Obstruction is fear admitted. When fear is denied admission consistently, belief becomes pure. Pure belief acts quickly. This purity does not require perfection. It requires loyalty. Loyalty to belief means refusing to imagine contrary outcomes. It means remaining faithful even when appearances tempt doubt. Temptation is the test of belief. The watchman must recognize temptation and refuse it calmly. When belief has been guarded long enough, it becomes automatic. The watchman's task becomes easy. Fear rarely approaches. This prepares the way for the next understanding that belief changes most effectively, not by struggle, but by substitution, and that replacing an old belief with a new one dissolves the former without conflict. It can only be replaced, and replacement is the law's gentle method. When belief has been guarded by the watchman, and fear is no longer permitted free entry, the next great law reveals itself naturally. Belief is never changed by battle. It is changed by substitution. Whatever one attempts to destroy by force remains stubbornly alive. Whatever one calmly replaces disappears without struggle. Many people make the mistake of fighting their fears. They scold themselves for doubting. They reason endlessly. They attempt to crush uncertainty through effort. In doing so, they give fear importance. Importance strengthens belief. Thus, the very thing they wish to remove is fortified. The law works differently. Law does not fight error. It replaces it with truth. Darkness is not expelled by effort. It vanishes when light appears. Fear vanishes when faith is installed quietly in its place. This is why substitution is the only method that produces lasting change. One belief cannot remain where another has taken its place. Nature allows no vacancy. When the mind is filled with a new assumption, the old one dissolves of its own accord. I have often said that man must become indifferent to the old belief rather than hostile toward it. Hostility binds. Indifference releases. When fear no longer excites interest, it has lost its power. I once knew a woman who feared poverty intensely. She fought this fear daily, arguing with herself, condemning her thoughts, and straining to believe abundance. Her struggle exhausted her. When she learned instead to repeat quietly, "My supply comes from God, therefore it cannot fail," and ceased arguing with fear altogether, her mind grew calm. Opportunities followed naturally. Her fear had been replaced, not conquered. Substitution must be immediate. One does not wait for fear to finish speaking. One does not listen politely. One replaces at once. Delay allows fear to lodge. This does not require harshness. It requires certainty. Certainty does not argue. The moment fear suggests lack, one affirms supply. The moment fear suggests illness, one affirms wholeness. The moment fear suggests delay, one affirms order. This is not denial of fact. It is denial of authority. Fact may exist temporarily. Authority belongs to belief. I have observed that those who practice substitution faithfully experience a curious peace. Fear may knock, but it is not admitted. The mind remains undisturbed. This peace is not passive. It is alert without strain. It watches without anxiety. Many people believe substitution is pretending. It is not. Pretending requires effort and vigilance. Substitution requires acceptance. One accepts the truth quietly and withdraws attention from the false. Attention is nourishment. What is not nourished fades. I have seen people recover health when they stopped examining symptoms constantly and substituted trust in divine order. The body responded to belief, not scrutiny. Fear thrives on inspection. Faith thrives on assumption. Substitution also governs memory. Many hold old failures alive by remembering them repeatedly. Memory rehearsed becomes belief. Belief becomes experience. I once knew a man who constantly revisited past mistakes. Each recollection reinforced his belief in failure. When he learned to say, "That is finished and has no power now," and to replace memory with trust in present order, his future changed. The past lost its grip. There is no power in history except the power belief gives it. History ends when belief ends. Substitution must be gentle but firm. One does not wrestle the old belief out. One invites the new belief in and allows it to occupy the space. This is why affirmations must be chosen carefully. They must feel true enough to accept. Forced statements fail. Accepted statements succeed. I often advise beginning with affirmations that acknowledge law rather than outcome. Law feels safer to the mind. Outcome follows law naturally. For example, there is no loss in divine mind. This statement removes fear without demanding proof. It establishes safety. Another powerful affirmation is, I am guided and protected in all my ways. Protection is a state of belief. It manifests as circumstance later. Substitution also requires repetition. Not frantic repetition, but steady loyalty. Loyalty impresses belief. What is repeated calmly becomes natural. What becomes natural becomes law. Many abandon substitution because they expect immediate outer change. Outer change lags behind inner settlement. Patience is required. Patience is not waiting anxiously. It is remaining faithful without checking. Checking weakens belief. Trust strengthens it. I have often observed that the greatest demonstrations occur after one has stopped watching for them. Watching implies doubt. Faith rests. Substitution also reshapes speech. As belief changes, words soften. One no longer speaks defensively. One no longer explains excessively. Others sense this change and respond differently. Conversations ease. Resistance dissolves. I once knew a woman who feared confrontation. Her fear made her defensive. When she substituted belief in divine order for fear of judgment, her speech changed. Others responded with respect. Conflict vanished. Belief shapes tone. Tone shapes response. Substitution also alters posture and movement. Fear contracts. Faith expands. The body reflects belief. I have seen people walk differently when belief changed. They stood straighter. They moved more calmly. Others noticed. This is not imagination. It is law expressed physically. Substitution also governs expectation. Fear expects trouble. Faith expects order. Expectation instructs life. Life cannot fulfill two expectations simultaneously. It follows the dominant one. This is why substitution must be complete. Partial substitution leaves division. One must not say, I trust, but. The word but restores fear. Substitution requires finality. One replaces and moves on. This finality does not feel dramatic. It feels settled. I have observed that when belief is truly replaced, relief follows. Relief is the sign of acceptance. Where relief is absent, substitution has not yet occurred. One must listen for relief rather than proof. Proof comes later. Relief indicates that belief has shifted. This relief may appear quietly. The mind feels lighter. The body relaxes. Thought slows. These are signs of alignment. Substitution also removes the need for self-control. Self-control is fear, attempting to manage behavior. Belief manages behavior effortlessly. When belief changes, habits follow without strain. I have known people who overcame long-standing habits simply by changing belief about themselves. They ceased believing they were weak. Strength appeared. Strength is belief made visible. Substitution also restores joy. Fear dulls joy. Faith restores it. Joy is not excitement. It is quiet confidence. Quiet confidence is belief at rest. This resting belief prepares the way for the next great understanding, that the belief which replaces all fear is the belief in divine order itself, and that when this belief is accepted fully, life reorganizes without effort. For divine order is the foundation upon which all substitution rests. And when order is believed, confusion dissolves. When order is trusted, fear loses its last argument, and belief stands whole. When belief has been replaced rather than resisted, the mind becomes receptive to the one belief that governs all others, the belief in divine order. This belief does not concern itself with details, methods, or timing. It rests upon the understanding that there is an intelligence arranging every life according to perfect law, and that man's task is not to direct that intelligence, but to trust it. Many people believe in God, yet do not believe in order. They imagine a universe that is kind in intention, but uncertain in operation. This divided belief produces anxiety. One cannot feel safe in a world believed to be accidental. True calm arises only when order is accepted as law. Divine order is not chance, guided by kindness. It is intelligence operating without interruption. It knows where each person belongs, what each person requires, and how each good may arrive without loss to another. I have often said that man has a divine design, a pattern of right place, right work, and right condition which exists before experience reveals it. When belief aligns with this design, effort diminishes, and movement becomes natural. I have known people who forced themselves into situations that looked promising but felt strained. Their belief was in effort rather than order. When they learned to say, I am led to my right place in perfect ways, and ceased forcing, situations reorganized. What belonged to them came easily. What did not belong departed without harm. Belief in divine order removes the fear of wrong choice. Fear imagines that one mistake can ruin everything. Order knows that correction is always possible. Nothing essential can be lost. This belief brings great relief. The mind no longer scans endlessly for danger. It no longer fears missteps. It trusts guidance to appear when needed. Guidance does not shout. It does not hurry. It speaks quietly to a mind at rest. I have observed that those who believe in order no longer feel compelled to explain themselves constantly. Explanation is often fear-seeking reassurance. Order requires no justification. Others sense this trust and respond accordingly. They feel that you are grounded. They trust your decisions. They rely upon your steadiness. Belief in order also dissolves jealousy and comparison. One no longer fears another's success. One knows that each life unfolds according to its own design. There is no competition in divine mind. I once knew a woman who envied her friend's good fortune. Her envy blocked her own good. When she learned to affirm, "What God has done for others, He now does for me and more," and trusted order, her affairs changed. Opportunity appeared unexpectedly. Her belief had shifted from scarcity to order. Order also governs supply. Many fear that resources are limited and must be grasped quickly. This belief produces tension and loss. Order reveals supply as continuous and sufficient. I have often spoken of the magic purse of the spirit, which cannot be depleted. This is not a metaphor of wishful thinking. It is a recognition of law. Supply flows from consciousness, not circumstance. When belief in order replaces fear of lack, supply appears in appropriate forms. Money arrives, assistance appears. Needs are met without strain. Those who trust order do not hoard. They give freely, knowing that giving confirms abundance. Fear withholds. Order circulates. Belief in order also governs health. Fear imagines the body as fragile and easily damaged. Order recognizes the body as obedient to law and capable of restoration. I have known people who lived in constant fear of illness. Their fear maintained their symptoms. When they learned to trust divine order in the body and ceased scanning for danger, health improved. Calm allowed law to operate. Order does not deny that challenges arise. It denies that challenges govern. It places every challenge within a system that resolves it. I have observed that when people trust order, delays shorten, timing aligns. Doors open at the right moment. When they push against time, delay increases. Time is not an enemy. It is a servant of law. Order governs sequence. Fear disrupts it. Belief in order allows one to wait without anxiety. Waiting becomes restful rather than tense. I once knew a man who grew impatient whenever results lagged. His impatience produced error. When he learned to say, "My good unfolds in perfect order," and ceased pushing, events aligned swiftly. His impatience had been the obstruction. Order also governs relationships. Fear tries to control others. Order allows connection to form naturally. I have seen strained relationships heal when one party trusted order rather than forcing reconciliation. The other responded without being pressured. Harmony returned. Order never violates free will. It arranges without coercion. Belief in order also removes fear of change. Many resist change because they fear loss. Order assures that change carries replacement. Scripture tells us that God closes one door only to open another. This is not consolation. It is law. When belief in order is firm, one does not cling to the past. One trusts replacement. I have known people who remained in unhappy situations out of fear of losing security. When they trusted order and released what no longer served, better conditions appeared. Their belief had limited them before. Order freed them. Order also dissolves resentment. Resentment believes that life has been unfair. Order knows that every experience carries instruction and correction. Forgiveness becomes easier when order is trusted. One no longer feels wronged by fate. One feels guided. I have observed that those who trust order carry themselves differently. They walk calmly. They speak with assurance. They do not rush or hesitate excessively. Others sense this composure and respond with respect. Authority grows naturally. Belief in order also governs intuition. Intuition is the voice of order within. Fear drowns it. Calm allows it to speak. Those who trust order often say, "I had a feeling," or "something told me." They followed that guidance and were protected. This is not luck. It is obedience to law. Order also governs protection. Fear imagines danger everywhere. Order recognizes protection as constant. I have often said that man is always under the shadow of the Almighty when aligned with law. Protection does not need to be requested anxiously. It is assumed. This affirmation reinforces order and safety. I am divinely protected, and nothing can harm me. Spoken calmly, it establishes belief. Belief in order also simplifies decision-making. One no longer agonizes. One waits for peace. Peace signals alignment. I have observed that when people act without peace, trouble follows. When they wait for peace, success follows. Peace is the indicator of order. Belief in order does not remove responsibility. It removes fear from responsibility. Responsibility guided by order is light. Responsibility driven by fear is heavy. Their energy remains steady. I have known many who exhausted themselves trying to control life. When they trusted order instead, energy returned. Life became cooperative. Order also governs endings. Fear clings to what has ended. Order allows release. I have seen people resist endings and suffer unnecessarily. New beginnings followed. Order never leaves a vacuum. Replacement is inevitable. This belief brings great freedom. Freedom from anxiety. Freedom from comparison. Freedom from fear of mistake. When belief in order becomes established, the mind rests. Rest is not idleness. It is alignment. From this rest, action flows effortlessly. Others see this ease and call it confidence. They trust you. They follow your lead. Confidence is belief made visible. Belief in order is the belief that changes everything because it underlies all others. When order is trusted, fear loses its argument. Fear says, "What if?" Order answers, "All is arranged." Fear says, "You must control." Order says, "I govern." When this belief settles, struggle ends. Life no longer feels adversarial. It feels intelligent. This prepares the way for the next understanding that when belief in order governs daily reaction, life becomes an expression of grace rather than effort, and one begins to live from belief instead of reacting to appearances. For order believed is order experienced, and belief, once settled, becomes destiny. When belief in divine order has become more than a thought and has settled into acceptance, life begins to move from a different center. One no longer reacts to appearances as though they were final. One responds from understanding. This is the difference between living from belief and living from reaction. Reaction belongs to fear. It is immediate, restless, and exhausting. Belief belongs to law. It is calm, steady, and precise. When belief governs, reaction loses its urgency. One pauses not from hesitation, but from confidence. I have often observed that most people do not lack faith. They lack time between stimulus and response. They react before belief can speak. Yet belief speaks quietly and must be given room. Living from belief means that the inner decision is made before the outer event appears. The belief has already determined the outcome, so the event carries no threat. It is merely part of the unfolding. I once knew a man who became agitated whenever unexpected news arrived. Each surprise felt like danger. When he learned to rest in the belief that divine order governed even interruption, his reactions softened. Interruptions ceased to disturb him, and soon they ceased to appear as often. His inner belief had changed the tone of experience. Reaction multiplies events. Belief simplifies them. Reaction says, something is wrong. Belief says, this, too, is under order. Life responds to the second statement with speed. Those who live from belief do not dramatize circumstances. Drama is fear seeking reinforcement. Calm observation dissolves drama naturally. I have noticed that when people stop dramatizing, others stop responding dramatically to them. Conversations become clearer. Disagreements lose their edge. Belief has shifted the atmosphere. Living from belief also alters timing. Reaction rushes ahead. Belief waits for peace. Peace indicates readiness. When peace is absent, action is postponed without anxiety. I have seen many errors made simply because people acted while agitated. They believed urgency required speed. Yet speed without peace produces correction later. Waiting for peace shortens the path. Belief allows one to wait without fear. Waiting no longer feels like loss. It feels like alignment. I once knew a woman who felt compelled to decide everything at once. This urgency exhausted her. When she learned to say, I wait upon the Lord, and my way is made clear, decisions simplified. She acted less, yet accomplished more. Belief removes the fear of missing opportunity. Fear imagines opportunity as fleeting and scarce. Belief knows that what belongs cannot pass by. This knowledge produces calm confidence. Confidence attracts opportunity rather than chasing it. Living from belief also transforms speech. Words become fewer and more exact. One no longer explains excessively or defends constantly. Explanation is reaction. Presence is belief. Others sense this shift and respond with trust. They listen more carefully. They respect boundaries. They feel steadied. Belief also governs expectation. One no longer expects difficulty as a habit. Expectation of difficulty invites it. Expectation of order dissolves it. I have known people who always said, something always goes wrong. Their lives reflected that belief. When they replaced it with, everything works out for me, and lived from that belief, difficulties decreased. Life mirrored expectation. Expectation is belief projected into time. Living from belief does not mean ignoring facts. It means assigning facts their proper place. Facts are effects. Belief is cause. One may acknowledge an appearance without bowing to it. One may see a problem without accepting it as final. I have often said that appearances are not enemies. They are indicators. They show what belief is active. When belief changes, appearances change. Those who live from belief also cease to take events personally. Fear personalizes difficulty. Belief depersonalizes it. One sees events as movements of law rather than judgments. This depersonalization brings great relief. One no longer feels attacked by life. One feels guided. I have observed that those who stop taking things personally recover faster. They do not carry offense. They do not dwell on hurt. They move forward easily. Belief in order dissolves offense naturally. Offense requires belief in injustice. Order knows correction is inevitable. Living from belief also removes the need to monitor results. Monitoring is fear checking for reassurance. Belief trusts sequence. I have seen people sabotage their good by checking constantly. They asked, is it working? This question undermined belief. When they stopped checking, results appeared. Belief works best when left alone. Living from belief also restores joy. Reaction drains joy. Belief allows it to return. Joy is not excitement. It is quiet assurance that life is friendly. Those who live from belief often appear fortunate. Others say, things always work out for you. This is not chance. It is belief made visible. Belief also affects the body. Reaction tightens. Belief relaxes. Health responds to relaxation. I have known people whose ailments improved simply because they stopped reacting fearfully to symptoms. Belief in order allowed healing to proceed. Living from belief also changes how one experiences loss. Fear clings. Belief trusts replacement. I have seen people release situations they feared losing, only to receive something better. Their belief allowed upgrade. Upgrade is a function of order. Belief also governs generosity. Fear hoards. Belief gives freely. Giving confirms belief in abundance. Those who give without fear receive without anxiety. Living from belief also brings clarity of purpose. Reaction scatters energy. Belief focuses it. I have known people who felt aimless until they trusted order. Purpose emerged without search. Belief does not chase purpose. It allows it to appear. Belief also governs rest. Reaction prevents rest. Belief permits it. Rest restores strength. Strength improves response. Response, guided by belief, produces success. I have observed that those who rest when guided accomplish more than those who force themselves constantly. Living from belief also transforms prayer. Prayer becomes acknowledgement rather than pleading. One no longer asks anxiously. One affirms calmly. This affirmation is powerful for living from belief. I trust the law to work for me in all situations. Repeated quietly, it restores alignment. Another useful statement is, I respond from faith, not from fear. Response guided by belief is always effective. As belief governs daily reaction, life becomes less turbulent. Tests appear, but do not disturb. Challenges arise, but do not overwhelm. The inner state remains steady. This steadiness is felt by others. It inspires confidence. Life entrusts greater responsibility to those who do not react. This prepares the way for the final realization that when belief is fully settled and lived from consistently, life no longer tests in the old way at all. Tests dissolve before they form. For belief, once embodied, governs without opposition. And life, finding no fear to correct, moves freely. Belief stands, and everything else aligns. When belief has been lived from long enough, there comes a point where life no longer tests in the manner it once did. This is not because life has grown gentle, but because belief has grown settled. A settled belief does not provoke opposition. It gives clear instruction, and instruction obeyed produces harmony. I have often observed that people say, my life used to feel like a struggle, but now it does not. They imagine circumstances have improved. In truth, belief has ceased to argue with appearances, and where there is no argument, there is no conflict. Belief, when fully accepted, becomes law in the individual life. Law does not need reinforcement. It does not require defense. It operates silently and continuously. This is why the one belief that changes everything is not dramatic. It does not announce itself. It does not hurry. It simply remains. When belief is settled, patience replaces anxiety. One no longer asks, when will this happen? For belief knows that sequence is already arranged. Time becomes a servant rather than a threat. I have seen people astonished by how naturally things began to fall into place once they stopped questioning outcomes. Their questioning had been the last remnant of doubt. When it ceased, movement resumed. Belief that is settled does not monitor results. Monitoring belongs to fear. Faith rests, Rest is not idleness. It is trust made visible. The settled believer no longer feels compelled to convince others or justify choices. Explanation is unnecessary when belief is firm. Others sense this firmness and respond with respect. Respect is not demanded. It is evoked by steadiness. I have noticed that those who embody settled belief carry themselves differently. Their movements are unhurried. Their speech is measured. Their decisions are made without strain. They appear sure of their path, even when they do not explain it. This sureness attracts opportunity. Life entrusts responsibility to those who do not waver. Settled belief also dissolves fear of loss. Loss belongs to divided belief. Where belief is single, replacement is certain. I have often said that there is no loss in divine mind. When this is believed, endings lose their sting. One releases without panic, knowing that order replaces what departs. I have known people who clung to situations out of fear. Their fear prolonged discomfort. When they trusted order and released, better conditions followed. Belief had been the barrier. Settled belief also transforms the way one views the past. Regret dissolves. One no longer rehearses mistakes. The past loses authority. The past has no power except what belief grants it. When belief rests in present order, the past becomes instruction rather than burden. I have observed that people who live from settled belief forgive easily. Forgiveness becomes natural when one trusts that no experience was wasted. All things serve order. Forgiveness frees energy. Energy freed becomes creative. Settled belief also governs health. The body responds to calm confidence. Fear constricts. Faith releases. I have seen people regain vitality simply because they stopped fearing decline. Their belief in life restored life. This is not mystery. It is law expressed physically. Settled belief also alters how one experiences success. Success is enjoyed without anxiety. One no longer fears losing what has been gained. Enjoyment becomes possible. Fear spoils success by watching for its end. Faith allows enjoyment by trusting continuity. Those who trust continuity appear content. Contentment attracts more good. Settled belief also simplifies life. One no longer seeks complexity. Complexity often hides doubt. Simplicity reveals trust. I have noticed that those who live from belief choose simplicity naturally. They do not complicate decisions. They act when peace is present and wait when it is not. Settled belief also refines intuition. Intuition speaks clearly to a mind that is not divided. Guidance becomes reliable. Those who follow intuition appear protected. Others call them fortunate. They are obedient. Obedience to belief produces safety. Settled belief also dissolves the fear of being wrong. Fear of error belongs to mistrust. Order corrects gently. I have known people who feared making any decision. Their fear paralyzed them. When they trusted order, decisions became easier. Even mistakes corrected themselves. Correction is part of order. Fear imagines error as final. Belief knows it is temporary. Settled belief also removes the need for comparison. One no longer measures oneself against others. One trusts individual design. Comparison breeds dissatisfaction. Trust breeds peace. I have seen people whose envy vanished when they trusted that their own good could not be withheld. Their belief opened the way. Settled belief also changes how one prays. Prayer becomes acknowledgement rather than request. One no longer begs. One agrees. Agreement is powerful. One may say quietly, "I accept divine order in all my affairs." Acceptance seals belief. Settled belief also changes how one faces uncertainty. Uncertainty no longer frightens. It invites curiosity. Belief knows that the unknown is guided. I have observed that those who trust order walk into the unknown without fear. Doors open as needed. Fear demands certainty before movement. Belief moves with guidance. Settled belief also brings authority without force. Authority is felt, not asserted. Others respond to this authority instinctively. They listen, they cooperate, they respect. This respect is not based on position. It is based on presence. Presence is belief embodied. I have often said that the world is not governed by the loudest voices, but by the steadiest convictions. Conviction does not shout, it stands. Standing still is often the most powerful act. When belief is settled, one no longer feels the need to hurry life. Hurry belongs to fear of delay. Faith trusts sequence. I have seen people shorten years of struggle simply by stopping their hurry. Calm allowed law to operate. Settled belief also governs generosity. Giving becomes joyful rather than anxious. One gives knowing there is always more. Giving confirms belief in abundance. Those who give without fear receive without strain. Settled belief also prepares one to help others. One can offer support without being drained. Calm stabilizes rather than absorbs. Those who live from belief become anchors in times of disturbance. Their presence reassures. I have seen families steadied by one calm member. One belief changed many lives. Belief is contagious, so is fear. Settled belief spreads peace. Life tests those whose belief wavers. When belief is settled, testing loses its purpose. This does not mean challenges never appear. It means they appear as passing events rather than defining struggles. The believer moves through them without harm. I would leave you with this understanding. Belief does not need constant renewal once it is established. It needs loyalty. Loyalty to belief means refusing to imagine otherwise. This refusal is not effort. It is trust. Trust is quiet. When belief rests in trust, life obeys. This is the one belief that changes everything, not because it is powerful in itself, but because it allows law to act without interference. And law, once allowed, never fails. Remain loyal to belief. Let life do the rest.